Excuse me. What in the world are you thinking?
Mean Gene, the first thing you need to do is to tell these people to shut up if you want to hear what I gotta say.
Holy crap. Hell in a Cell 2022 in the bag. We went to hell indeed. What up, y'all? KMB, the Sexy Ninja. Welcome to the New World Podcast, brother, for life. A podcast strictly about pro wrestling at its finest. And indeed, we got that. The pay-per-view was last night. Before we get into that, this podcast is and will always be fueled by crazyhoodiez.com. Crazy Hoodies with a Z. Big Daddy loves himself some wrestling, so he's going to support this podcast as well with his many thanks and gracias and all that great stuff, because Big Daddy is a huge supporter of KMB, the Sexy Ninja. I'm going to jump right on in. We start the pay-per-view with a Raw Women's Triple Threat match. Asuka, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair. They bring it on. They start the show strong. And, man, just back and forth. And I think they went the full 30 minutes or a little bit more, a little less. I was intrigued the whole time. The wife made Navajo tacos last night, and she's like, okay, the food's ready. I'm like, okay, wait, I can't leave. I can't walk away from this match, because these three women are giving it their all right now. And oh my gosh, back and forth, and they got that crowd, and they're in Chicago, baby. And Chicago's a very tough crowd, very tough crowd. But man, they got Chicago rocking. Man, I gotta tell you, that match just it brought a smile to my face, because when you start a show off with such a strong match, it just sets the tone for the rest of the night. It also tells the boys in the back, hey, it is time to put in work. It is time to go to work. It is time to put on a show. And these women right here set the bar very, very high. And Bianca Belair, she won. I'm happy with that. I think it'd be too soon to take the title off of her. I wish, part of me wanted Asuka to win, because Asuka is back now, and I feel like they're just kind of pushing her to the side a little bit. Like they put her in that championship match, but they also involved Becky, and I'm really glad they did, because like I said, the end of the results was this was a fantastic triple threat match that I would love to watch over again and watch these women rock it. But I feel like Asuka is back, but she's not back in that sense of you ain't ready for Oscar, I don't know. That's the problem when she came back. It was just kind of like, yeah, she's here. Yeah, she's in a championship match. But if you notice in the match, she kind of get thrown to the side a bunch of times. Kind of knocked out of the ring, this and that. She had great spots. But I just feel Asuka, they need to make sure to not let her fade away into the background like before. They need to make sure they keep her up front with everybody else, Bianca, Becky, Charlotte, because she's a top grade wrestler. And this match right here, it was everything. I don't do stars. I don't do rating reviews on matches like that. I just say if the match grabbed me and it held onto me and I could not move from my chair to get my Navajo taco on, it's a damn good match. Also, Bianca winning, like I said. I wish Asuka, but Bianca, I love Bianca. So we shall see where she goes. We got Money in the Bank next. We shall see. I kind of forgot the order of the pay-per-view, but I do have the matches in written. But I know what started the show. I know what ended the show. This match right here, Theory versus Mustafa Ali. Theory wins the U.S. title. I wasn't really invested into this storyline pretty much just because I love Theory. I've always thought Theory is one of those top grade superstars that's going to just shoot to the moon, baby. They're going to shoot him to the moon. But this U.S. title run, I don't know. I feel it's a little stale at the moment because it's like, what do you do with that title? How do you make that title means something. And that's the problem with WWE is the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title, they're just there. And when you have a 24/7 title too, it doesn't help. It doesn't upgrade what the titles mean. But the U.S. title, I feel, can be challenged a little bit more. They're talking about open challenges every week, and he's taught. And Theory's being Theory because he's a heel. He's got to make sure that the crowd hates him. And Mustafa Ali, I don't know. The match was great. Like I said, this match was great. I'm glad the Theory went over. I don't know why Mustafa Ali would win. And I don't really. This was a storyline I just did not really invest in because I was like, okay, well, I already know the end result. I just want to see some good wrestling when they wrestle together, and when they go into this match, I want a good story told in that ring. Their story on the whole, Next up, Bobby Lashley versus Omos and MVP in a handicap match, and Cedric Alexander interferes himself at the finish of this match for Bobby Lashley to win. It's crazy. I never imagined that I would love Bobby Lashley this much. Especially with him being a face, and when he stole the dude's title and it was like, I'm coming for this. I'm like, man, I hope we see Roman versus Bobby. I think that's a top grade match, especially for SummerSlam right around the corner. Or Bobby's, I don't want Bobby versus Roman at Money in the Bank. I think Bobby versus Roman at SummerSlam would be a much, much better draw, especially with the Tribal Chief versus the Almighty. Sounds like a damn monster movie, doesn't it? Oh, the Tribal Chief versus the Almighty at SummerSlam. But Bobby wins. This was a great story. This is MVP. I like what they did with MVP and Omos. And if you saw the packaging before the match and MVP's diss track towards Bobby, that tickled me pink. I was just like, oh my gosh, he's just straight up crucifying Bobby Lashley on the mic. But it was so fun. I love MVP. Omos, he still needs a little bit more work, but he's a monster upon himself. Bobby winning, and Cedric Alexander interfering is just like, okay. And they did a little thing beforehand where Omos and MVP are talking, and Cedric Alexander comes up and says, hey, I can come help you guys and do this to Bobby, make it a real handicap match. And MVP had to actually say the words, the Hurt Business is done. It's over. It's over. So putting the nail in that coffin, I want to see where they go, because even after the match, after Bobby wins, he goes in the back and he sees Cedric. He's like, hey, don't interfere in my matches ever again, and you got to watch out for yourself. That's the best advice I can give you. Go make a name for yourself, pretty much. And, he went off, and I was like, okay, well, there's little seeds there. Little seeds, so we shall see where that goes tonight on Raw. And this was pretty much a Raw pay-per-view, so nothing wrong with that, but it was a fun match. Judgment Day versus AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Liv Morgan. Man, it's like each match, even though I wasn't really attached to the storylines, because I won't lie, I'm gonna put this on front. I came in for two matches. I came in for the Raw Women's Triple Threat, and I came in, of course, for the Hell in a Cell match with Cody and Seth. And every other match I was kind of like, okay, I know the story, I know what's going on, I know why they're fighting, I know why the build. And with Judgment Day, I like Judgment Day, but I'm not over them. I'm not like crazy about Judgment Day. I think it's a great faction. I think it can be more, especially if they keep growing the group as they should. But this match was like, whoa, what's going on? This is, they got that crowd pumping. I'm just like, man. And like I said, that's why I love the fact that they started off with the Raw Women's Triple Threat, because they set the tone for everybody in the back to be like, okay, and I bet you Edge was the one that was telling this group, like, hey, we got to go all out. We need to outshine the last person that was in this ring. We need to, and I feel that was the tone for all these mid-card matches, going into this was like, okay, we need to keep these people on their feet. We need to keep the adrenaline pumping all the way to the main event. And I feel this match did so as well. That like a great match that I didn't think that it was going to be anything less or more. It was just something I was going into watching, and it blew my socks off. Next one, Kevin Owens versus Ezekiel. Another storyline that I'm like, okay, my boy Kevin. I'm a huge Kevin Owens fans ever since he was Kevin Steen, because he's always been that person I've always looked up to because of the way he looks, the way he carries himself, the way he speaks, and he's just such a good heel. And this storyline with Ezekiel not being Elias, but being Elias's younger brother, it's just funny. It makes me pop every once in a while, especially with the promos that Kevin does and how obsessed he is with, Ezekiel being Elias' younger brother, and the interviews with Ezekiel being like, oh yeah, me and my brother wanted to be tag team wrestlers and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. But Kevin beat Ezekiel, which I found interesting. I feel like if you were telling the story, I feel like you should have had Ezekiel win, unless we're going to keep this thing going. That's my only notion in this story, especially with Kevin winning, because you build and build and build this Ezekiel character, building this Ezekiel, and this match was great. I feel that Ezekiel should have gone over, unless we're going to keep continuing this story, which I don't know why. Because I'm like, we got to find some better stuff for Kevin. Like, Kevin was a Universal Champion at one point. Kevin was the main event. Kevin is the main event. He should be. And I know he just re-signed that contract, believe last year or so. And, Vince sees something in him. He should, because it's Kevin freaking Owens. I know that's Rollins' line, but it's Kevin Owens, man. And then another person that gets thrown to the wayside is Sami Zayn. I'm glad they got rid of that whole conspiracy gimmick. I believe he's going to go into more of a face, especially him being like trying to tie himself to the bloodline. We'll see where that story goes on SmackDown. But with this match, Kevin Owens versus Ezekiel, I enjoyed it. I think Ezekiel should have taken the win on this one. Okay, this match right here surprised the hell out of me because I had no interest. I had nothing invested in this storyline. Madcap Moss, now just Moss, because WWE, they don't like those first names, like Austin Theory. Now he's just Theory. Now he's just Moss. I'm glad they got rid of that stupid gimmick with the suspenders and the bad jokes and this and that. Now he's gonna run on his own. I really like the fact he changed up his gear, just because the last one is just, I feel like, was a rib on him when he came into the business. Well, got into WWE. But this match here was brutal. Shout out to Corbin for these two just hashing it out in a no holds barred match. And I feel like, I wasn't invested in the story, but they told the story the way they should tell the story. And Moss putting Corbin now in the hospital after what Corbin did to him, just kind of sealing that. I feel Corbin's going to be out for a little bit. We're not going to see Corbin for a while, and maybe give it a few weeks, a month or so, till the Money in the Bank comes. Then bring Corbin into that. But now it's time for Moss to step up as his own. Moss won, of course, and I just can't wait to see where he goes, because I feel like he was shackled down being a Madcap Moss, and now that he's Moss, he needs to charge forward. All right, now the main event. Beforehand we got told that Cody got hurt, tore a pectoral muscle. Sorry. Before, that's what they were saying throughout the pay-per-view, that he he got injured, but he still wants to wrestle. That's that's Cody in a nutshell. He still wants to go out there. He still wants to do business, hurt or not. And it was like a scene in a movie. Seth comes out with the polka dots, mocking, the Cody with his father Dusty, and being the great heel that Seth freaking Rollins is. When he revealed that, I was like, oh my God, he's genius. In Chicago just lit up. We weren't even in the match yet, but Seth came out, then Cody came out, and that crowd just went wild. And like I said, like a movie, Cody gets to the ring, the lights come on, and they're introducing them both before they start the match, and then Cody's slowly taking off his jacket, and he opens it so slowly, and he gets they just show the black and blue right around his pack and just on his arm, and bruised, and you can it just look devastatingly painful. And all I gotta say is thank you, Cody, for just doing this match, with it looking like that. But I was wondering how limited Cody was gonna be because of this injury, because you can tell, the way he was holding himself and trying to hold that side of his arm and his body, it was very stiff and limited, and like a good heel does, Seth went after it. So every time when Seth hit him with the kendo stick, when Seth smacked him with the weight belt that had the polka dots on it, and everything that Seth did to that side, I flinched. I was like, but man, I was invested. That crowd was invested. There's a great part where the crowd slowly turns to Seth, where they're saying, thank you, Seth, because Seth brings out the table, because they were asking for the tables, and, he brought the tables out, and then I feel like, because I didn't see it on camera, but I feel like he flipped off the crowd just to be like, screw you, I didn't pull out the table for you, I want to hurt this man. And Cody giving it his all, playing the sympathy of the babyface, bringing that comeback. And with how limited Cody was to this match, he brought his all, like Cody Rhodes does, and got a huge pop in the end. Especially, this was the creme de la creme. This was the point of the match where I was like, where they brought the sledgehammer in, and Cody doing a pedigree to Seth, that was freaking nuts, man. I was like, oh, and this build has been building and building. And like, if you watch the past promo from this past Monday, last Monday, was Seth saying, oh, you went with your little friends and you try to break down the throne. All this paid off in this match, to the pedigrees being used, to the sledgehammer being the period to end this feud, where Seth brought it in, and then Cody hit him with the crossroads twice, bam, bam, and he was going to do it again, but it just wasn't enough. Cody had to seal the deal. He had to make sure this is it. That's all. This is, I beat you 3 times in a row, and just to embarrass you, just to end this, I'm going to hit you with this sledgehammer. And man, bam, Seth takes it, goes down, and then we get a 1, 2, 3, boom. I at the end, I was just like, I was in awe, man, and I had such a good time with this pay-per-view. There wasn't a moment where I was kind of like, I probably was when Moss versus Corbin happened when they first started, but when they actually started going, I was like, oh, hey, I'm invested, brother. I'm here now. Entertain me. I'm acknowledging this awesomeness that's going on right now on my TV screen, and such a great pay-per-view. Cody winning, I feel like is what needed to happen, especially if you want to keep building Cody. And I feel that now we go to Money in the Bank. And I know we're all getting Roman versus The Rock and next year. I don't know if it's guaranteed or not, but that's been the big rumor for a while, Roman and the Rock. I personally feel like it should be Roman versus Cody. I think that would benefit better, and especially if he beats Roman at WrestleMania and wins the unified titles. I feel that would be a better story than just getting Roman and The Rock just to get that marquee up there and saying, yeah, we have The Rock and Roman. Even, and nothing wrong with Roman. Roman didn't need to be here at this pay-per-view at all. No, we didn't need the Tribal Chief. The Tribal Chief has done his job, and because I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's going to take the Summer. Who's he got? He's already smashed. He's already laid waste to everybody. And, with the tease with Bobby, taking that, like, I'm coming for the title, that should be a SummerSlam match we can build to. And Bobby Bobby and Roman, man, I'm calling it SummerSlam. That's a good main event for SummerSlam. And so we shall see next pay-per-view's Money in the Bank. I feel Cody should win the Money in the Bank and cash in. I don't want Roman to lose that title to a cash in. I want Cody to do the Cody thing and be like, hey, this is for Mania. Me and you. You have time to prepare. I have time to prepare to take on the Tribal Chief and dethrone the Tribal Chief. And you will acknowledge Cody. That there. But it is WWE. Roman Rock. We'll see. And they said the Rock's calendar is pretty much free for the first quarter of 2023. So possibly The Rock is coming back and we're going to get Roman versus The Rock. But I want Cody versus Roman and Cody dethroning Roman, because we're moving it forward and we're not just having a match that's going to be epic in upon itself. But where do we go from there? Where do we go with the storytelling? That's the thing with WWE that kind of drives me crazy, because yes, we got this big marquee match, Roman versus The Rock, but after that, where do we go? You have Roman versus Cody, and Cody dethrones Roman at WrestleMania. We move forward with that story, and Cody, and that's just the fanboy in me, the mark, whatever you want to call it. I just wish that it will be Cody versus Roman, and then Bobby versus Roman at SummerSlam, and we'll just take this wave. And I can't wait for the Money in the Bank. It's going to be in Las Vegas, so we're talking about maybe trying to go to that. I know SmackDown will be in Phoenix that night before. All right, y'all. Thank you for listening to the New World Podcast. I had a lot of fun watching the pay-per-view. I had a lot of fun recording this. I had a lot of fun. I just love the fact that WWE now is slowly and getting back to that. Like, we're going to keep giving you great stuff. And we'll see what happens tonight on Monday Night Raw. The next New World Podcast, I don't know when will come out, but I was thinking maybe I'll do one at the wrap of this week with Raw and SmackDown, so we can see where we're going, and maybe I can predict a little bit more from there. But thank you for listening to the New World Podcast that is fueled, that is powered by crazyhoodiez.com, Crazy Hoodies with a Z. Go get your awesome hoodies, your awesome designs and logos created by Big Daddy himself. Thank you to everybody listening. Much love, much respect, and New World Podcast, nWp for life, brother.
Oh my God. Gentlemen, we said less than 100%. 50 would be lucky.